Good morning and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. This morning, it's the 1st of September 2021, and we are excited to welcome you to a great new week, to another beautiful month. Welcome to September, a month of greatness and of great things for you in all regards and in all areas. Welcome to September. Welcome to the ninth month of the year. I'm Finfolu Falodu and I'm welcoming you to another edition of the Good Morning Education Show this morning. This is that show where we dissect and have discussions and analysis in and around the world of education. If it has to do with education, you will find it here. Welcome to the show this morning. On the show, we take the news headlines and then we go on to take the topic for the day, which we have our analysts come on to share from their expertise and from their experience with us. This morning, we will be having another robust edition for you. Join us, tell somebody, bring somebody along, share the link, call a friend, tell them that the Good Morning Education Show is live. We're starting off with our headlines this morning. The first headline is FCET Umunze makes ICT skills compulsory for students. The Provost of the Federal College of Education, Technical Umunze, Dr. Tessie Okoli, has announced a compulsory ICT training program for all students to gain a competitive edge upon graduation. She said the students needed to be equipped and become ICT compliant to become relevant in a world driven by ICT innovations. But this is part of what we speak about and we talk about when we say we're keeping an eye on the past, but then we are innovating for the future, understanding that ICT skills are at this point in time, in this dispensation, they are indispensable for students is something that FCET Umunze is realizing and has made compulsory. So the students may not understand it now. They may feel like, oh, why are we being forced to do this? But they would thank the school authorities just a few steps down the road. And moving on, Webometric ranking, stakeholders commend Sanwo-Olu as Laspotech emerges third best poly. I think in the last metrics that we reviewed, it was Yavatech coming second of the polytechnics around. Now we have Laspotech emerging as the third best polytechnic. I think that says something for Lagos State. Stakeholders in the education sector have commended Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for his administration's commitment to delivering quality education across the state, as Lagos State Polytechnic emerged as the third best polytechnic. This further strengthens what my stance that if institutions stay in the place of their calling, if they are true to what they have been set up to do, and if they choose to be cutting edge in the area where they're supposed to function, then they will have no need to struggle for relevance. They will shine forth and shine through in their chosen fields. So congratulations to Laspotech, congratulations to the Lagos State government, and please do not rest on your oars. Our next headline: Nine Hotua takes 500 new students on discipline and diligence. newly matriculated students of the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, NIHOTWA, have been enjoined to obey the institution's authorities. Director General of the Institute, Nora Soni Kangiwa, stated this during the matriculation ceremony of 500 students for the 2020-2021 academic session in Abuja and other 8 campuses across the country via Zoom streaming. Well, for the students that have just gotten into the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism. Say congratulations to you, and don't just go there to, like, maybe you don't have a choice. You do have a choice. Make it count, and let us see the relevance of what you are in that institution for. For me, it's about the first time that I'm hearing about this particular institution. I know many other of some other tourism institutes, but the Nigerian, for knowing a federal tourism and hospitality institute, I think this is about the first one for me. So we want to see you tell us more, buy your products, buy your fruits. Let us know more about this institution. Congratulations to them. Our next headline: TFN inducts 269 fellows to teach in underserved schools. Teach for Nigeria, a non-profit organization, has inducted 269 fellows or teachers, 269 fellows and teacher leaders as the fifth cohort of its fellowship program at the 2021 Pre-Service Summer Training Institute. The Teach for Nigeria Fellowship is a leadership development program that equips fellows with transferable leadership skills to effect change in classrooms. If you have not heard about Teach for Nigeria before, well, welcome to this is an induction to know about Teach for Nigeria. They have been doing awesome things in the area of education, particularly for underserved communities. So they train teachers to go into these communities to render academic services to them. And this time around, they have inducted 269 fellows to take on a new cohort. This is awesome. We need much more collaborations and much more people doing stuff like this, great things like this. We cannot continue to sit down and complain about what the government is not doing while we leave what we can do and continue pointing those out. Thank you, TFN, for brazing this and for showing that it can be done. Thank you so much. 52 Bauchi teachers decry non-payment of salaries, cry for help. About 52 teachers in the employment of the Bauchi state government have decried non-payment of their salaries, in some instances up to 59 months, by the state government. The teachers, who gathered under the aegis of Teachers' Rights on Tuesday, submitted a letter to the State Ministry of Education demanding payment of the salaries. Once again, here we are faced with the issue of delayed salaries and non-payment of salaries for teachers, for educators. This really, we cannot say it enough that this is wrong on all fronts, on all shades. This is completely, totally wrong, and so much more needs to be done. Much more needs to be done better concerning this issue. We cannot continue to owe teachers and still expect the best from them. In fact, no worker at all should be owed. So let's not even say it, because we know that the NARD strike is still currently on. We cannot, we need to do better. We really need to do better. And I hope that this outcry will be listened to and they will be done right by. Our next headline: Subeb suspends teacher for allegedly defiling 14 pupils in Niger school. The grade 2 teacher of Central Primary School, Karabonde Bogu, local government area of Niger State, Alhaji Usman Galadima, who allegedly defiled 14 pupils of the school, has been suspended from work by the management of the State Universal Basic Education Board. It will be recalled that Alhaji Galadima has been accused of sexually assaulting some pupils of the school and threatening to kill them should they reveal what he did to them. 14. I'm just hoping that this matter is properly investigated and that the offender is brought to justice. That's just it for me on this. It's heartbreaking that you are in charge of children. You are supposed to be a safe place for them, and you still are the same person who is taking their innocence and plunging them into a painful future. It really is sad. I'm hoping that justice is brought to to the offender, that the issue is investigated and justice is brought to the offender, and that the children who are involved are supported properly and adequately, given the kind of support they need on all fronts. JAMB cancels national cutoff marks, makes new decisions. Seriously. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has cancelled the national cutoff mark. The body said it would now be left for Nigeria's tertiary institutions to determine their admission benchmark. This decision was made on Tuesday at the 2021 policy meeting presided over by the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu. The registrar of JAMB, Prof. Isha Koloyede, who spoke during the forum, said some universities, such as the University of Maiduguri, proposed 150. Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, proposed 140. Pan Atlantic University proposed 210. University of Lagos, 200. Lagos State University, 190. Covenant University, 190. And Bayero University, Kano, 180. Really, I'm not sure what to think about this or how to even react or respond to this. In whatever decisions they're making, I just hope they're putting the students' interest tops and that this will not become something that universities will monopolize and reduce the chances of some students getting into the university, and that the standard really does not fall. We know there are so many new universities that want that are looking for students at all costs. They just need to get their quotas filled. How do we regulate that standard and ensure that that there is a standard and that it's upheld, that we have graduates and then we're wondering which schools who produced these ones. I really do not understand the rationale behind JAMB making this decision, but whatever it is, I want to believe it's well thought out and that stakeholders were carried along and they all have been able to come to the conclusion that this is if they feel this is the best, well then we take it as the best decision. And to our last headline this morning, education. Oshimbajo unveils Buhari government's plan for every Nigerian child. The Vice President, Yemi Oshimbajo, has unveiled the federal government plan for every Nigerian child. Oshimbajo said the federal government's plan and purpose is to ensure that no Nigerian child is denied access to basic education. He spoke on Tuesday at the National Dialogue Forum on the Girl Child in Nigeria, themed towards a girl-friendly Nigeria. The event was organized by the Women Arise for Change initiative in collaboration with the African Child Policy Forum, Ethiopia. Okay, so what exactly is the government's plan and purpose to ensure that no Nigerian child is denied access to basic education? Maybe that is stated further in the body of the news, but as one thing we all are tired of is promises, 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 and oh, in the future, in 3 years, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, this will happen. And then we get to that mark, and still we have to face new promises over again. At this point, we need to be moving away from unveiling promises, unveiling plans, and moving into actually executing these plans and telling us this is what, well, not even telling us, showing us what you want to do. We're tired of reading and of listening to, "Oh, this is the plan." We really want to see action being taken. And with that, we come to the end of the headlines this morning, and we'll be going into the topic for today, which is dissecting our core problems. Dissecting our core problems. What exactly are our problems, and how do we know um, what our core problems are? How do we know that we are not majoring, we're not putting focus on the least or the less important things, and losing focus on the important things that on the important things? We really need to dissect this. What exactly are our problems really? How do we even prioritize to know which is core and which is not core? But come to think, if I was to make a list of which of the problems was core and which was not, I would say that our foundational issues are our core problems. We should be bothered less uh, about things that are like additions. We should be bothered less about good to have and focus more on the need to have. And this need to have, for me, are the values that set us up as a sector. What is the foundation that we are on? What platform are we operating from? What is that basis for us to run as a sector, as as a system of education for the country? And looking at that foundation, I would say that part of the issues, or part of the core for us in this area, would be the curriculum. What is our curriculum? What kind of curriculum do we practice? What kind of curriculum is available to our schools? Do we have a central curriculum? What are our curriculum planning committees and bodies? What are they doing? What are they doing? How are we seeing? Are we feeling the impact? Or are schools and institutions just left? Okay, what works for me? I want to go British. I want to go American, and then with this pattern of Nigerian, just to have maybe that feel of authenticity, or what now? We just want to have that sprinkling of, oh, well, we're a Nigerian, well, maybe not a Nigerian school, but we're a school hosted in Nigeria, and we really want to showcase something that speaks Nigeria. What exactly have we come to adopt as our curriculum and as our core when it comes to impacting education? Yes, impacting education at every level. These are discussions that we need to have, and as we go from year to year, as we go from from session to session, we need to also look at reviewing this core, reviewing this curriculum. What's the future for education? What's the future of education? And are we still keeping in line with this future? Are we lagging behind? Are we staying back on what uh, what we believe it should be, and we're very comfortable in the familiar, that we don't want to get out of our comfort zone? That's for me is one of the core for education. That for me is one of our core problems. We have talked on this program a number of times about our curriculum, and closely related to the curriculum is the knowledge of the subject matter being taught and being passed across by teachers. Sometimes teachers don't even know their own subject matter. They're not that they don't know it at all, but they're not fully immersed in it, such that if you woke them up at any point in time and maybe confronted them uh, with new information about their subject matter, do they really know it, or it's just, oh, this is the lesson note, or this is the note that I have been using for 5 years and nothing changes? We go on like that. We really need to look at that aspect of the knowledge of our educators. So yes, on one hand we have the curriculum. On the other hand, we have the problem also of who is teaching the curriculum. How are they passing across the knowledge? How immersed are they in the knowledge that they are teaching? How versed are they? How open-minded are they to change? Because really, you cannot pour out of and from an empty container. So that is another part of our problems. And I remember during one of our episodes, Mrs. Ajayi saying that a department of research should be, a policy should be set up to have a department of research set up for educators that is fully um, targeted at educators' development. So we have constant research going on. Not that we are in competition, and if we are in competition, absolutely nothing wrong in competition in this regard. And one of our analysts said something about copying. Copying is not bad in its entirety. What are we copying is the question. So if we have to copy certain things to ensure that our educators are out there, they're cutting edge, and they are they're able to pass across effectively the knowledge that they need to. Then let's copy away. And I think it was Derry that talked about copying, and just at the right time she steps in. Good morning, Derry.
Good morning, Finn. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Rotimi Tayo. Okay, I'm not sure if he can hear me, or maybe we are the ones that can't hear him. But when that line is clear, we'll have him come up. So, Derry, this morning we are considering our core problems. We're considering our core problems as educators and in the education sector. In your view, what would you say our core problems are? So far, I have talked about two that I believe are part of the core, but I know we have more than two core problems. What in your view are the core issues that we have in the sector?
Thank you. So first, we we are using a curriculum that was designed for the industrial age to address the problem of a tech age. So if there is anything at all, like I always say, like I have this 5 step problem tree that I created. You going down why, and there are different things on that level of problem tree. But when you get to, like, let me say, the when you keep deep and you're trying to find a solution, you discover that if we had to start fixing this, will I say across board, and not just as individuals, we need to make sure that the people that actually have the power to change it across board are able to see reason with us why it is like an immediate need. It is not and if in fact I know there was someone there was a talk I listened that said even if we design the curriculum today, we are not even sure that that curriculum would fit into would like to say the next 20 years kind of job. But at least we are sure we are making progress and we are not an entire century behind. So for me, I think if a major problem, which is curriculum that is not working, is the number one thing that we need to actually look at holistically. But I always say, like, I recognize it that when you design a problem tree and you have a part of your problem tree that ends with the government or that lies with policies or political issues, as an individual, you are better start looking at other aspects of your problem tree that you can have immediate results, or at least results that you know is within your power to do, and not just relying on policies. Now, if we are looking at those problems that we can now start saying, okay, if we are not going to do policy route, what are the other problems that we have? Another problem I know we have is the lack of, I call it the lack of um, teachers, um, teachers, I won't call it commitment, teachers' willingness to change and move with the times. And I say it is willingness because most people, well, I said, when you say, what do you want to happen? You want to see change happen. Well, when you ask who wants to change, nobody raises up their hand. So most people are very comfortable in their, they have a comfort zone. So I would say another challenge we have in the educational sector is the willingness of teachers. I don't want to say the teachers, but I would say the willingness, or will I say their fear of the unknown, or they just don't want to move from where they are. So they are comfortable doing what they already do. So and which is why I said, are these things that we can start addressing on an individual basis? Yes, because if it is a mindset issue, it is not like it is policy, it is a mindset issue. So if we are able to raise enough awareness, make them see what they gain from changing and from staying relevant in the 21st century, it's easy to start convincing one person at a time till it becomes a culture and people see that there's no problem with them changing their mindset or with them embracing change part time. Like, it is the most constant thing. So if we can start working on people's mindset or educators' mindset, I think it'll be is one of the problems that we can solve as individuals immediately. And I think the last one I'll mention, I think it's also a core problem in the education sector, is the learners themselves. The learners are, will I say, unfortunately, most learners are, will I say, they are distracted, let me put it that way, by so many things that are going on in the world. Unlike when we were younger and we were learning, we had limited things to distract us. But these days, as in almost every learner, even the ones in secondary school, have like 1,001 things on the internet that they have access to that can distract them. So I think what we now need to be able to probably even do for the learners is make them or will I say, be able to partition their time, or to make them realize the importance of this education. And maybe when they realize the importance, then they are able, and teach them how to manage the distractions. That's what I will teach them, how to manage the distraction. I remember a particular student walking up to me after I was teaching them at the university, and he said, "Ma, Like, because one of the things I did in that class was to, teach them, like, as in the kind of life skills and all. And he said, Ma, I have a problem of, like, I keep touching my phone, like, even like I can't stay without touching my phone. And I said, don't we all have that problem? Do you understand? So I made him feel like, oh, it's not like you are, the fact that you are aware that it is a problem for you. It's a start, the awareness, which started from me even calling out things like that. And I said, this is what we are going to do. Let's celebrate every 15 minutes that you cannot touch your phone. Let's set alarm clock for every 15 minutes and make sure you don't touch your phone for the next 15 minutes. And I remember 1 week later, he walked up to me and said, Ma, it is working. I cannot even do 30 minutes. I said, that is the way to go. We all have this problem because like our phone is everything. We need to check information and all that. I said, but if you don't learn to drop your phone for 30 minutes, you can't concentrate in my class enough to receive the information. And if you can't receive it, how are you going to pass? So I always say we can't use force because it's useless. These are young adults, especially at the tertiary level. So you have to first just make them understand that this is the problem, they have the problem, and these are the measures to curtail the problem. So I'll stop there this morning.
Thank you so much for that, Darren. Really, it's coming to fore that at the core, at the base of our problems is the curriculum. And while you were speaking, Ugochi walked into the building. Good morning, Ugochi.
Good morning, Faye. Good morning, Derry, and good morning to all our amazing listeners.
Thank you. And Ugochi, what, in your opinion, will be our core problems?
Core problems in the education space.
Yes, in the education space.
Okay, so I think that Derry has already answered that question beautifully because she really mentioned she took her time to explain each of them, one by one and all that. I think that she has actually captured all of them. I wasn't here when she started at the beginning, so I don't know if there's anyone that maybe I didn't hear. But I really feel like her answer was quite exhaustive. So I don't think I have any other thing to add at the moment.
Okay, so if we're going by that, it means that our core problems are essentially four, which are which are what Derry pointed out. So one, we have the curriculum.
Okay.
Many things are wrong with our curriculum. We have said this many times, with maybe not with the curriculum itself, maybe it's with our execution of the curriculum, maybe it's we are just running the wrong curriculum. And maybe another issue is that we do not even have a unified curriculum. So where you can say, oh, we have a unified curriculum is in public schools, where everybody's under the government and they get their instructions from the government. So there's a sense of unified uh, instruction there. But when you come to the private sector, you have all sorts, all manner. So first, our curriculum. Second, the teachers themselves. We have the issue of proper training, and then we have the issue also of the the teachers' willingness and their mindset and maybe their worldview interfering in their in the carrying out of their duties. We have learners who are there's a lot that is calling for the attention these days. Yes, we had student entrepreneurs when we were in school, but these days, the kind of entrepreneurship they do is the kind that you really do not need to be in a physical space to do it. So they can be in class, and what they're doing is transacting business, chatting with someone in another part of the world who maybe it's the convenient time for them to talk and all of that. So if we put all of this together, what then would we say is the solution to our problems? Let's take this issue of the educators themselves. When we look at the mindset of educators and their preparedness for service, what would you say, Ugochi, is the solution to this problem?
So for the one about educators, I will just say that we have to be intentional about the educators we are bringing into the system. So from the beginning, when they are being brought into the system, there should be an exact way of doing things so that we can keep monitoring it over and over again. So you come into a system, you are choosing to be a teacher by yourself, whether you are coming in because you have a passion for teaching or you're coming in because you didn't find any other job. But as you come in, you have to go through a process that makes you know that you are going to be monitored and that you have to keep on growing professionally. Because it's so sad that many people do not want to evolve until someone pushes them. So people are not, if not that COVID happened and forced a lot of schools to try to see how to provide online solutions, some people did not even want to think of how to move their school, move some aspects of schooling online so that we can follow the times that we are in. So it has to just be, whether it's a public school or a private school, that system that people come in, there is an orientation and you can see your career pathway. You draw like what it's usually called a leadership development plan, an LDP. And you're saying every year you are expected to do so and so training. You know, we have it in some organizations where they'll tell you that you should take a course by yourself, not the one that the organization would do for you. You are supposed to take a course in a certain area to upgrade your skills. You are supposed to do that. And then, of course, they're also the ones where the organization themselves organizes certain periodic trainings to upskill you. Because as much as someone is teaching, right, and we expect them to do their own professional development, the organization should also make an effort to have it as part of the plan. It's supposed to be on the career pathway for those teachers that they have to keep on upskilling. Otherwise, if there is no systematic way of ensuring that people upskill by consciously or unconsciously, what happens is they just let themselves go. And if it is not a teacher that is forward thinking and is trying to evolve, that teacher will even, you would see that 10 years after, teachers haven't done one extra course, even if it's on Udemy or Coursera. So it has to be integrated into the plan so that they know that by themselves, they're expected to upskill. And also being a part of that school, they know that after a certain period, they get certain kinds of training so that they are able to evolve. Because if we say that the children are the future and we have teachers who are not evolving, teaching our future, that means you're not going to be teaching them the right thing for the future. And we really do not want that to happen.
Thank you so much for that, Ugochi. If those preparing our future are not prepared themselves, then we already know the kind of future that we have ahead of us. Thank you. That's really very instructive. And we welcome to the show this morning also Odishola Olumide. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Safety chick, Fee, Rotimi, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Thank you. We're talking about um, we're talking about dissecting our core problems in the education sector. And well, we have talked about some of the core problems. I would like to know from your view, maybe what you believe our core problems are in the education sector.
Thank you. I think talking about our core problem, it appears to be multifaceted, different stroke for different folk, as is being said usually. But whichever way we look at it, some appear to be constant, whether from primary, secondary to tertiary. Take, for example, the issue of infrastructure. So that is a general problem as far as the education sector is concerned. And maybe that is like an extraneous factor beyond the reach of individual educator or school owner. However, there are also inherent problems moving from one place to the other. Knowledge gap is another thing, like Ugochi just said now. Somebody who is a teacher is in a knowledge space. And I tell people, if you are teaching, if you are leading, you cannot afford to be less informed than your audience, or else there will be trouble. Then coupled with knowledge gap is attitudinal issue. I cannot but keep mentioning that. When somebody doesn't know and he agrees to the fact that he doesn't know, help is very near for such a person. But when somebody doesn't know and refuses to accept the fact that he doesn't know, or chooses not to acknowledge his or her ignorance, that person can be helped. And it's like it has become a norm. How we have always been doing is so we live forever be. So when you are trying to scale up or step up, you are going to meet with a lot of terrible attitude. You know, people look at you and like, sorry, are you doing eye service? You say no. They begin to give you nickname. Some will tell you, look at this one. You want to carry work for your head. Okay, oh, no problem. Especially in government, it becomes an issue. And before you know it, people will even sabotage you for trying to do the right thing. So for me, beyond the knowledge gap, which needs to be filled, is the attitudinal problem. And people just want to collect money without working. And by the time you put them on the spot that you've got to work, and they give you all kinds of stories, they even, in fact, this may shock you. For those in government, when you have a head teacher or you have a principal that is very assertive and is futuristic, it will shock you that that person will soon lose his or her job or will be moved out of that place. They will conspire against that person that he's making life unbearable for someone. What is his problem? Is he the governor? Why does he want to kill us? And you are supposed to collect salary for the work you have done. You don't want to work, you want to collect salary. And somebody is even trying to help you that, hello, this is your job function. That person becomes your sworn enemy. I think these are some of the things I want to say for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I decided to get the opinion of all our analysts on what we believe our core problems is, so that we can focus on what exactly it is, and we have agreed largely on the same problems as our core problems. So it's easier for us to move forward from here to profess solutions to these problems as they arise. So, Demi, I would bring this to you. When it comes to this, because I know you are into helping people develop themselves and be better positioned for global opportunities. When it comes to preparation for global opportunities, or when it comes to preparation for being the best possible professional at their jobs, what advice how would you say we tackle this problem with educators, taking them out of that mold mindset of it's been this way, or expecting either the government as their employer, or if it's in the private sector, expecting the school leadership team to send them, to prepare them. They believe, oh, once I come into your system, then I have become your responsibility. What do we need to do to get teachers prepared to take up these responsibilities of properly positioning themselves?
Okay, like Mr. Lushala said, he said attitudinal problem, right? Which I also mentioned earlier. So I see it as most of the time, teachers feel their work, or will I say more than half of teachers came into that profession because it's their last bus stop. There's no other thing to do. So they didn't choose to teach. They landed in teaching, let me put it that way. And when people have a job that they feel like it is below them, let me put it that way, they give that attitude all the time of let me just do it and go because this job is below me, right? And it's not like they have anything to lose. So when you have people in that kind of mindset, I say when you show them the ability for them to have more from this, I always say when people know that they have something to lose or there is something greater, their attitude begins to change. When I speak with, as when I was in the UK doing this thing, when I speak with the lecturers that are there, they earn so well, or will I say the job means so much to them. It's so competitive. Like you teaching is one of the most paid jobs or one of the most apart from the payment, prestigious. When you say you're a university teacher or even a secondary, you're an educator, people look at you with respect because it's just in their system beyond the pay. Now, the fact that we don't have that kind of respect for teachers, and the same way maybe in the US they have for their army, we need to change a culture, one. But from the teachers individually, I always say, like, when people don't see beyond their nose, there's a problem. And if you are able to make people see that, okay, if you are just able to change your behavior, what if you can earn beyond what government currently pays you at the university, and you can earn it from this same education outside or as an entrepreneur, right? And the moment you begin to make them see the power of more or what more can do for them in terms of them being able to earn from the edtech sector, as in, because right now, right, even if I teach at the university, I have an edtech business that probably what they will pay me at the university for the entire maybe 1 year, I can earn it from a client in one day, right? So it is when you are able to make them see that, look, you are already an educator anyway. You have the status of maybe you're a doctor, you're a professor. What if you are able to leverage on it and deliver more? There's a particular professor in my department I look up to so much. This is someone that when there's some time he came when I was an undergraduate, he will come to teach us, like he will land at the airport and he will come. Why? He had this charisma. He delivered his lectures so well. They would call him internationally to come and deliver lectures. And you could see it in his attitude. He understood that maybe it was his primary job at the university that made him earn that, but then he had positioned himself so well globally to be able to get international recognition. So he was an entrepreneur and he was earning from there. So in his attitude at the university, it was, you would see there was a clear distinction between how, because he was not dissatisfied. He loved that he was able to remain a professor and still deliver on the outside. So it's reflected in his attitude. You need to show people there is more with what, fine, you are earning small, but what if I told you that just your status can make you earn more, or just what you already have, but then you can't teach the same way you teach at the university in a paid webinar or in a paid facilitation training. The moment you're able to see that, okay, all you need to do is take this L&D, like this particular training, and you will become at par with a regular facilitator in the entrepreneurship space. They are willing to do it, and at the end of the day, by the time they do it, they already have it. So it means when they come back to the classroom, they will employ the same method in teaching their students. And I always say, like, this absolutely, apart from the fact that I chose to teach, it happened to me in 2019. I went into a program that it was like, let me say, facilitated by a World Bank master trainer. And I practically saw the 21st century method of facilitating training. I immediately went back to the classroom and started implementing since 2019. And every single time, year in, year out, the learners will walk up to me and be like, you're different. Something is different in the way you teach. I said, because I've been taught by a world-class master trainer on how to facilitate training. But what took me to that training was not education. It was an entrepreneurship training, right? But then I'm able to, because if I want to be able to collect money from people in training, I need to be the best in that space, because it is what they pay me that it's what I deliver that I get paid for. But the fact that in most governments, whether at the tertiary, secondary, or university, It is not, you don't get paid by what you deliver. You get paid because you're in employment. So I would say, like, you need to make people see they can earn more. They can earn more from what they already have. So they would be forced to want to achieve that, filling that knowledge gap to be able to be more. You need to make them see there's something better. There's something beyond the four walls of what they already knew. There's something beyond the bubble they live in. You need to make them see it.
Thank you so much, Darren. That was very insightful. And as we round off this morning, I would bring this question to Olushola Olumide. One of the major problems that we have been able to identify as a core for us is the curriculum. What can be done to make our curriculum much better and well, maybe not just making it better now, but to continuously improve on our curriculum? Are you there? Okay, Darren, can you hear me?
Hello, Fee.
Okay. Yes, please. Please go on.
Yes,
Yes,
our
please
call
go on.
interrupted. And yeah. Oh, great submission there by Darren. Darren, good morning. I thought it was Rotimi. I was looking at that picture. I thought it was Rotimi that was online before. I think the ivory tower should be designed to provide solution to the problem in the community. The institution cannot isolate itself from the community it is meant to serve. If we bear that in mind, then the issue of curriculum will have to be evolving from time to time. Some of the things we have in our curriculum now maybe was reviewed, only God knows when last. Despite the fact that things have changed, a lot of innovation is being brought up globally, people are moving forward, but it appears we are too rigid about some of these. There are things that are being taught, especially at the tertiary level now, that are being taught and are no longer relevant. Learning those things, having to sit and read to pass exam in that thing, has little or nothing to contribute to your life going forward. And schools doesn't have autonomy to design their own curriculum. To some extent, you have to follow regulation. Maybe with the exception of private institutions now that design their curriculum from the word go, in which the NUC will now vet, then approve. So I feel there should be that connection, the institution and the community. The community should be able to come to the institution to say, we're having this challenge. Can you help us provide solution? You guys are in the ivory tower. You guys are knowledgeable. You are researchers. We're having this challenge. So that's the problem at hand. We snowball into what we learn. And it doesn't have to be for 10 years. When we surmount that challenge, we move forward. We don't have to keep learning majorly what doesn't constitute a challenge to us again. It's in society, everybody knows. So we move on again. And there are things that are constant. Whichever way, soft skill, you will need them. Good command of English, you're able to speak well. Empathy, leadership. These things, wherever you go, they will be needed. But I tell you, it's not in our curriculum. So I feel there should be a connection. I know it's beyond the one-man show. You can't just decide, like I said sometimes ago, I met with a prof and I was trying to deliver my book on emotional intelligence. He looked at it and said, oh, this is lovely and all that. He said, we're even trying to bring this on board, but we are somehow restrained. We can't just do anything here without NUC giving us permission. I talked with another associate prof who is even in psychology. He looked at the book and said, this is good. Though. And people who are in that space already, as at this time I'm talking about, students of psychology are learning nothing about emotional intelligence, about self-awareness, about behavioral control.
Now, when they go out, what do we expect them to prefer solution to? How do they help the community or help humanity at large? So I feel the institution and the community should work hand in hand. Community, business organization, private sector have challenge. They come to the school, they give money, and that's why most of the Western climb, you hear that there are funding. Those funding were not manners. They didn't fall from heaven. People provided those funding that we're having this challenge. We want to move forward, but you guys are researchers. Can we make money available? You just bury yourself and help us dissect this challenge and what is the solution to this. And we see them moving forward. So I think until we connect community or society and the institution together, our curriculum may not really have a new lease of life. Thank you very much.
Wow, it's been an in-depth discussion this morning, dissecting our core problems. And I want to thank our analysts for being here today. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Olushola Olumide. Thank you, Ugochi, though she's no longer here on the call, but thank you so much. With this discussion that we have had, we're hoping that we can bring about a change in the sector, and that we're not grappling around anymore in the dark, thinking, oh, what exactly do we want to face? What exactly are we supposed to be? But we're not leaving out the major things that we should be focused on, and then beating around the bush to just be picking at the fringes. Thank you so much for your opinion and for sharing from your experience with us this morning. This is about the end of the show this morning. And we want to thank everyone who has joined us this morning on the show. Thank you for being there. We're here because we know that you are there. Tomorrow is another day, is another edition on the show, and we look forward to having you here with us. Don't come alone. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Follow us on Instagram at Good Morning Education Show. Our analyst, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, watch the replay, send it to somebody. You can never tell who is in a position to effect change. So share it, send it to somebody, and let them be a part of the discussion as we have them. So this morning we will be rounding off in our usual way. Are we ready, Darian?
We are ready.
Great. So at the count of 2, we take it off this morning. 1, 2, let's go.
It is always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show.
Thank you. Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.